everybody and welcome to a session on phonetics with Dr. Papori Barooah. Here I would like to introduce a very interesting subject called phonetics or phonology. Phonetics refers to the study of the human speech sounds. Seems like a science. It is a science which you can enjoy studying, and it is something that if you incorporate into your lives can create an impressive personality in your personality. So let's start trying to decipher or trying to understand what phonetics is all about. Now, as I said, when we talk about phonetics, it's the science of the human speech system. So we're just concerned about how the human beings speak and how they actually speak it. And here in this particular session, I would like to work out, or in fact try to show you how you can draw or how you can understand the main organ with which we speak. That is our organs of speech, the mouth there, and all associated organs. So let's start today. Say I meet a class. I walk inside the classroom and I tell, "Good morning, class. Good morning, class." If it's an American, he would say, "Good morning, class." The word class becomes class because of the change of one sound segment. Now, these are things that are studied in phonetics. Like normally we always try to get the perfect pronunciation from a book called English Pronouncing Dictionary by Daniel Jones. And in this particular book, you all already have written down and transcribed whatever you can, the way you talk in, whether in American or British English. Say for instance, if this particular word, examination. It's a very common word and all the students are in love with this word. Right? Now how will you actually tell this word? Will you tell examination? Will you tell examination? Will you tell examination? Now, you talk about this particular word which students are in love with. Examination. Now in English, we need to be careful that where we will actually put the stress on. Well, in English, you have to put a stress somewhere. You just cannot tell in a straight line. Every word has a distinct way of pronouncing which is fixed whether you say it in isolation, or you say it in a sentence. So this particular word, how will you tell that? Examination, or you put stress on za and you tell examination, or you tell on me, examination, or you tell ne, it's examination. It's correct, you call it as examination. The ne part gets more stress. Now these segments that I've shown you, examination, I take 5 times a breath, 5 breaths when I'm trying to tell this word, and one particular segment will get the stress. Therefore, normally in English, most of the words, if they are more, every time you tell the word, you form a syllable, and most of the words have syllables, and in that particular word, only one syllable will be told very strongly. All these are studied in phonetics. Therefore, what I wanted to say is that in the beginning of this session, that every word has a particular way of telling it. It's particular. That's a particular way of trying to pronounce that word. Hence, we can say that phonetics is the study of, or scientific study of, the human speech sounds. Now, when we talk about phonetics, just to give you an idea, there are many branches of phonetics, of which 3 of them are very popular and very significant branches. They are articulatory phonetics, we have acoustic phonetics, and we have auditory phonetics. Articulatory, that is, involves the mouth organs, the organs of speech, and we study how they function. In fact, we are more concerned with only this part, that is the articulatory phonetics, which studies how sounds are made by the organs of speech. So in fact, what I'm trying to tell is that today in this session and the few other sessions that will follow, I'm going to focus on articulatory phonetics. And the next is acoustic phonetics, which studies the acoustic or the hearing. What I'm talking about when you talk, the sound effects that are produced, the acoustic function are studied in different articulations, how they happen, that is studied in that branch. The third branch is the auditory, is very obvious, talking about how it falls onto your ears. In a way, we can tell that everything articulatory has to do with the organs of speech, acoustic, the sound, and of course auditory, how the sound falls onto your ear. So as I would like to tell, it is this particular session and the sessions that come after it will be focusing on articulatory phonetics. Now what does it do? Articulatory phonetics, it studies the organs of speech and how what are the functions that the organs of speech have, and how we use each of the organs to really produce a speech sound. So today I would like to present before you a very easy way of drawing the organs of speech.
Let me now show you a very easy way of drawing the organs of speech. I'm going to show you a vertical cross section of the face. This is the nose, and then you have the upper lip there. Once you finish the upper lip, you draw the upper front teeth. Just below the upper front teeth, we'll draw the lower front teeth this way. And then we turn around and then we're drawing the chin and the lower lip there. The next thing we do is that try to draw the palate. So drawing the palate, we have a protrusion that goes down there towards the end of the palate, which is the uvula. Below we draw the tongue. We begin from the front part and then touch down below and then complete the tongue there. Now I'm just going to go down and draw. This is the epiglottis there. If you go down below, there's a protrusion there which is known as the Adam's apple. It is we also call it the voice box or the larynx. I'll now just cover this up and finish the head portion. If you look at it, this is a very rustic way of drawing, very simple way of drawing it's a vertical cross section of your organs of speech. And now the next thing we need to do is that label it. Now it's a very good idea to keep the labels only on one side, either on the left or on the right. Now we go about and label it, and we'll try to keep the labels in capital letters for better clarity. So here I normally prefer when we label it using capital letters. So this, as I told you, it is the upper lip. Upper lip. Then we have the upper front teeth. This is the upper front teeth. Next we'll draw the lower front teeth. This is the lower front teeth. And next I'm writing the lower lip. This is the chin, but we are more concerned about the tongue there, which plays a major role in all speech. So for purpose of phonetics, we normally divide the tongue into 4 major parts, and here I am naming it 1, 2, 3 and 4. So we can always label it like this. We can write down the tongue as 1 is the tip of the tongue. The tip of the tongue. Number 2 is the blade of the tongue. Number 3 is the front of the tongue. And number 4 is the back of the tongue. Now, apart from that, here, if you look at it, you try and feel with your tongue on the back side of the upper front teeth, you'll find some ridges. These ridges are known as, it's known as the teeth ridge. It is known as the teeth ridge or the alveolar ridge. So either you can call it the teeth ridge or you can call it the alveolar ridge. Apart from that, the next part that you have is known as the hard palate. That is the hard palate. This is the entire thing is the roof of the tongue. So this part is actually the palate, and we divide it into this is the alveolar or the teeth ridge. We have the hard palate, then we have the soft palate. We have the soft palate. The soft palate. And the last part that we have hanging there, that is the uvula. That is the uvula. Now you already have these diagrams in proper books there, but this is my attempt to try and make it easy for you to draw it. So this is the uvula. Now we go down there. This is known as the larynx or the voice box, and in the larynx or the voice box what we have is a band of muscular tissue. Now this is how it is. I'll show it to you. Here we have it. Let me try and explain to you the case of the vocal cords. Now if you're talking about the passage of air, and actually we have two passages like this running parallelly. One passage goes to the lungs and the other passage goes to the stomach. We are more concerned with the passage that goes to the lungs. If this is the passage that goes to the lungs, here I'm cutting a transverse section and showing it to you like this. Inside we have two bands of muscular tissue like this, which come near, go far, come near, go far. These two bands of muscular tissues are known as the vocal cords, and the space between the vocal cords, it can be big like this or it can be small. Now when we have something big like this is the production of voiceless sounds, and when we have something less like this, small gap between the two vocal cords, it is known as voiced sounds. We'll talk about it much later, but for now remember the space between the vocal cords, whether be it small or big, is known as the glottis. So these are the vocal cords there, and this is the space between the vocal cords. The space between the vocal cords is known as the glottis. And the two vocal cords there, these are the two vocal cords there. Now this is found in the larynx or the voice box. The larynx or the voice box. This is the larynx or the voice box, and it's found in the Adam's apple, which is also known as the larynx, and this part is known as the epiglottis there. So this is in brief the organs of speech and how you go about drawing it. But before I end, I also need to tell this part inside the mouth is known as the oral cavity, and the space in the nose is known as the nasal cavity. So the entire thing, this one is the nasal cavity, and the space in the mouth is the oral cavity.
Now let us try and understand some of the related terms associated with the organs of speech, or in fact the whole process of how the air from the lungs comes in through the glottis and really escapes either to the nose or the mouth, the terms related. So it's a very introductory class, and I would like to focus more on the terms first. Now we need to remember that the air stream comes out from the lungs. It comes out. Because it is associated with the lungs, we call it pulmonic. The airstream mechanism which we use as human beings, it comes out from the lungs hence it's pulmonic. It comes out, therefore it's egressive. So we call it as pulmonic egressive airstream mechanism. So we need to remember that it's pulmonic egressive airstream mechanism. Next we should know the word called articulation. Now what is actually articulation? It is altering the flow of air through the vocal cords to produce sounds. Now whatever we say in very simple words, not very scientific words, whatever we tell, the way we pronounce, all of them uses articulation. Now vocal cords, what are they? As we discussed some time back, vocal cords are muscular bands of tissue. Next is of course the glottis, which is the space between the vocal cords. There's another name for the soft palate, which we introduced. The palate, the last part of the palate before the uvula is the velum. So this is how it looks, what I had drawn some time back. This is the organs of speech at a transverse section there. Now just like to tell you so that we can use those words in an easier manner later, that when we have sounds produced in the soft palate, because it has the name velum, the sounds have the adjective or are used with the adjective velar, V-E-L-A-R. If they are produced in the alveolar or the teeth ridge, they are known as alveolar sounds. If they are produced with the teeth, it's the adjective used is dental. And if they are produced with the lips, they are known as labial. And of course, if they are produced in the glottis, it is known as a glottal sound. So if I just wanted to repeat so that we remember this forever, that articulation is the manner by which a speech sound is produced, and articulator are the organs of speech which are used in the production of the speech sounds. So these are the basic definitions we need to know before we actually proceed. And in our mouth we have two forms of articulators. They are the active articulator and the passive articulator. When we talk about the active articulator, means the articulators which can move, like the lips, the tongue and the soft palate. We'll realize how it moves once we proceed with the next lessons there. And the passive articulator, it means that like the teeth which we cannot actually move one by one, and the hard palate. Now let me just introduce you to, in this introductory session, to the 44 sounds that we need to know properly to be very well adapted, or in fact associated with all we talk about in phonetics. Let me now give you a feel of the 44 speech sounds, or what we call phonemes in the language, in the English language. Like for P as in pen, B as in bin, T as in 10, D as in desk, K as in king, G as in girl, F as in fan, V as in van, S as in sea, Z as in zoo, Sh as in shoe, J as in treasure, measure, pleasure. The J is a French derivative sound, and hence you have to use your lower lip, protrude out the lower lip when you say that particular sound there. Th as in think, the as in that, H as in house, Ch as in chair, J as in jar, M as in mouse, N as in nose, and Ng as in king, L as in lion, R as in rose, Y as in yes, W as in wine. Now let me introduce the remaining other sound segments or phonemes. They are known as vowels and diphthongs. We have around 12 vowels and 8 diphthongs. So I'll introduce them. FWL has a long E, and hence the phoneme E. E as in feel. I or E as in fill. It's a short vowel there. A as in bed. A as in man. Shwa. This is a vowel which is the only vowel which is a name to it. And the A-F-T-E-R, the E-R has the sound. It's after. You don't even hear that sound. The A as in up. As in girl. U as in pull. U as in prove. A as in after. O as in all. O as in pot. Now till here we had the vowels. Now we start the diphthongs. A as in say. Oi as in boy. I as in high. Ia as in here. Ua as in poor. Ea as in prayer. O as in so, now and go. Ow as in how. With this, I come to an end of this session, Phonetics with Dr. Papori Barooah, Lecture 1, where I had introduced you to how we can actually draw the organs of speech in an easy manner. And hence, we come to the end of this session. I hope you liked this session and I could introduce the interesting subject of phonetics before you. Now let us prepare for the next session where I'll be talking about the definitions and jump into phonetics proper. Thank you so much for watching.